Hi, today we will learn how to write high scoring answers in MMPC 009 Managerial Economics and understand the main concepts in a way that helps us perform better in exams. The most important thing to remember while writing answers is to always follow a proper structure because marks are awarded not only for knowledge but also for presentation and clarity. Always begin your answer with a clear definition of the concept in 2 to 3 lines. After writing the definition, move to explanation where you describe the theory using logical steps and proper reasoning. Then include examples wherever possible, preferably from real life or Indian context, because examples make your answer more practical and impressive. Finally, always end with a short conclusion summarizing the importance of the concept. For 10 MARK questions, try to write approximately 400 to 500 words. And for 5 MARK questions, write around 200 to 250 words. Use technical keywords such as elasticity, equilibrium, marginal, opportunity cost, and ceteris paribus, and underline important terms to make them visible to the examiner. Maintain neat handwriting, use subheadings wherever possible, and draw diagrams whenever required because diagrams increase clarity and help fetch additional marks. Now let us begin with topic 1, which is introduction and objectives of the firm. Managerial economics can be defined as the application of economic principles to business decision making. It is micro oriented because it focuses on individual firms rather than the whole economy. Normative because it suggests what decisions should be taken, and pragmatic because it focuses on practical problem solving. One of the fundamental concepts in this topic is the three basic choice problems faced by every economy or firm. These are what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. These problems arise because resources are limited, but human wants are unlimited, which leads to scarcity. Managers use economic reasoning to allocate resources efficiently and make rational decisions. In exam answers, always connect these choice problems with scarcity and resource allocation because this shows conceptual clarity. Another important concept is the opportunity cost principle. Opportunity cost is defined as the cost of the next best alternative foregone when a decision is made. Costs are of two types: explicit costs, which are actual payments made to outsiders, and implicit costs, which represent the value of resources owned by the firm. For example, if a student chooses to pursue an MBA instead of taking a job, the salary that could have been earned becomes the opportunity cost of studying. In exam answers, always give such simple examples because they demonstrate understanding of the concept and help secure higher marks. Opportunity cost plays an important role in investment decisions, production planning, and resource allocation. The next concept is value maximization. Objective of the firm. Value maximization means maximizing the present value of all future profits rather than focusing only on current profit. Profit maximization is short term oriented, whereas value maximization is long term oriented and considers risk, time value of money, and sustainability. While writing answers, explain that present value depends on future profits, discount rate, and time period. It is also useful to compare profit maximization and value maximization because comparison answers generally receive more marks due to structured explanation. Managers aim to maximize the value of the firm while considering legal, ethical, and social responsibilities. Another important principle is the discounting principle and decision making under risk. The discounting principle states that the value of money received in the future is less than the value of money received today because money today can be invested to earn returns. Okay? For example, if the interest rate is 10%, then 100 rupees received after 1 year is worth less than 100 rupees today. When writing answers on this topic, always include a small numerical example because numerical demonstration shows deeper understanding. Decision making under risk involves calculating expected monetary value, while uncertainty refers to situations where probabilities cannot be measured. Explaining the difference between risk and uncertainty adds depth to the answer. Now, moving to topic 2, demand analysis. Demand refers to the quantity of a commodity that consumers are willing and able to buy at different prices during a given period of time. Demand depends on several factors such as price of the product, price of related goods, consumer income, tastes and preferences, future price expectations, number of buyers, and government policies. While answering questions on determinants of demand, always list all these variables, even if the question mentions only one factor. This gives the impression that you understand the complete demand function. Demand analysis also includes the difference between individual demand and market demand. Individual demand refers to demand by a single consumer, whereas market demand is the sum of demand from all consumers. Market demand is more stable because it represents aggregate demand from many individuals. In exams, draw separate demand curves for individual and market demand whenever required, and explain how market demand is obtained by horizontal summation. Another important part of demand analysis is the role of income and tastes. When income increases, demand for normal goods increases, whereas demand for inferior goods decreases. Engel's law states that as income increases, the proportion of income spent on food decreases. Tastes and preferences are influenced by culture, fashion, and advertising, and any change in taste leads to a shift in the demand curve rather than movement along the curve. For example, rising income levels in India have increased demand for smartphones and branded products. While writing answers, clearly show demand curve shifts with proper arrows and labels because graphical representation strengthens theoretical explanation. Topic 3 focuses on demand elasticity. Elasticity measures the responsiveness of quantity demanded to changes in price. Arc elasticity is used when price changes are large, and it measures elasticity over a range of prices using the midpoint formula. In exam answers, include a simple example showing price change and quantity change, and explain whether demand is elastic or inelastic based on the calculated value. Point elasticity, on the other hand, measures elasticity at a specific point on the demand curve and is used when price change is very small. On a linear demand curve, elasticity varies at different points and is elastic at the upper portion and inelastic at the lower portion. While explaining point elasticity, mention the geometric method because this adds clarity and helps gain additional marks. Topic 4 covers demand forecasting, which involves predicting future demand for products. Forecasting methods are broadly classified into qualitative and quantitative methods. Other qualitative methods include expert opinion, Delphi technique, consumer surveys, and Salesforce opinion. These methods are simple and quick, but may involve subjective bias. Quantitative methods include time series analysis and regression analysis. Time series analysis studies patterns such as trend, seasonal variation, cyclical variation, and irregular variation. Regression analysis establishes relationships between dependent and independent variables and helps predict demand based on past data. While answering forecasting questions, always mention limitations such as data quality issues and uncertainty because examiners expect balanced answers with both advantages and limitations. Topic 5 deals with production function. Production function shows the relationship between inputs and output. In the short run, at least one factor of production remains fixed, usually capital, while labor varies. The law of variable proportions explains how total product, average product, and marginal product change as labor increases. Initially, marginal product increases due to better utilization of fixed resources, then decreases due to overcrowding, and eventually becomes negative. Firms operate in the second stage where marginal product is positive but decreasing. In exam answers, always draw total product, average product, and marginal product curves and clearly label them because diagrams are essential in production related questions. In the long run, all factors of production are variable, and firms can change both labor and capital. Returns to scale may be increasing, constant, or decreasing depending on efficiency of resource utilization. Isoquants represent combinations of inputs producing the same output, and producer equilibrium occurs where isoquant is tangent to isocost line. Explaining this equilibrium clearly improves answer quality. Topic 6 focuses on cost analysis. Costs are divided into accounting costs and economic costs. Accounting costs include only explicit costs such as wages and rent, while economic costs include both explicit and implicit costs. Implicit costs represent opportunity cost of own resources. For example, if a firm uses its own building, the rent that could have been earned becomes implicit cost. Total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. Average fixed cost decreases continuously as output increases because fixed cost is spread over more units. Average variable cost and average total cost are U-shaped due to the law of diminishing returns. Marginal cost intersects average variable cost and average total cost at their minimum points. In exams, always draw all cost curves together on the same diagram and label each curve clearly. In the long run average cost curve is an envelope of short-run cost curves and shows economies and diseconomies of scale. Explain these cost relationships step by step ensures better marks. Topic 7 discusses market structures. Market structures differ based on number of sellers, type of product, and entry barriers. Entry barriers include economies of scale, high capital requirements, product differentiation, legal restrictions, and control over resources. For example, industries such as telecom and pharmaceuticals have strong entry barriers. Bain classified entry conditions into blockaded entry, impeded entry, and easy entry. Limit pricing is a strategy used by existing firms to discourage new firms from entering the market. When answering market structure questions, always provide real world examples because practical illustrations improve credibility of the answer. Topic 8 covers pricing under different market conditions. In perfect competition, firms are price takers because many sellers offer identical products. Equilibrium occurs where price equals marginal cost. In the short run, firms may earn profit or incur losses, but in the long run, only normal profit is earned due to free entry and exit of firms. In monopolistic competition, many firms sell differentiated products, and short run profits are possible. But in the long run, profits disappear because new firms enter the market. In monopoly, there is only one seller, and entry of new firms is restricted. Monopoly leads to higher prices and lower output compared to perfect competition, resulting in deadweight loss to society. Another important concept is third degree price discrimination, where firms charge different prices to different groups based on elasticity of demand. For example, railways charge different fares for different classes, and cinemas charge different ticket prices at different times. While answering pricing questions, always explain equilibrium conditions and show diagrams because pricing answers are incomplete without graphical representation. Finally, remember the general answer writing strategy for scoring high marks. Always start with definition, then explain the theory clearly, draw diagrams wherever required, write formulas and explain variables, provide practical examples, compare concepts when asked, mention limitations if necessary, and conclude with 2 or 3 lines summarizing the importance of the concept. Always write one sentence explaining what each diagram shows because diagrams alone are not sufficient without explanation. Ending answers with a strong concluding statement creates a positive impression on the examiner. If you consistently follow this structured method of definition, explanation, diagram, example, and conclusion, you will be able to write complete answers within time and maximize your marks in MMPC 009 Managerial Economics examinations.